Hello everyone. My name is Hunter, and this is a spoiler review of Ted Lasso Season 3, Episode 10. And honestly, this is one of my favorite episodes of the season. I really enjoy this episode. And so Richmond gets a few of their players picked for this nation versus nation game. We have Jamie and Van Dam and Danny. All three of them are in it. We would have thought that Sam would be in it, but one of the characters from the season 2 episode, we would have thought that Sam would have also been picked to represent his own country of Nigeria. However, a certain character from season 2 named Edwin decides to come back. Um, and he does not like Sam. So he decides to bribe the Nigerian government to not pick Sam. So Sam isn't picked. He also decides to buy out his restaurant, reserve all the seats in Sam's restaurant, and then just cancel them at the last second, and then build his own restaurant down the street. He seems very petty, even for a eccentric billionaire here. But on the matter of Sam not getting picked, Jamie, who has become my favorite character of the show, when he goes onto the field to represent England, he decides to wear Sam's number on the back of his shirt or his back of his jersey. And he's one of my favorite characters to watch this season. He really is. I said that Danny and Van Dam were also picked to represent their countries. And there's this really weird gag where Danny decides to be like really antagonistic towards Van Dam, to the point where he decides to take Van Dam's chips that he offered and crush them and then drop them on the floor. And he kicks the ball straight at Van Dam's face, causing his nose to bleed, which obviously is supposed to be seen as very extreme, for just two people playing a game, and especially for Danny. And I think it's it, and I kind of don't think it really works, mostly because I mean, Danny's played against other teams before, and he's never really gone out of his way to try and injure another person on another team. So why is it Van Dam this time? Maybe he just never liked Van Dam and he found this as an opportunity. I don't know, but I felt very weird, and the fact that he just crunched all those chips and dropped them on the airplane floor. I mean, you're not only messing with Van Dam here; you're messing with the airport people who have to clean that up as well. So I just thought that that gag didn't really work. I didn't find it very funny. However, I did find it funny at first when he was like getting on with Van Damme's face, and he took it a little bit too far after that, and I felt it just kind of felt a bit extreme to be funny anymore. So now on the Keeley storyline, Jack decides to cut all the funding for her business, and so she doesn't realize this until she gets to work the next day, and everyone has just moved out. Barbara is there packing up her stuff. She tells Keeley what's going on, and Jack never said anything to her. She says something eventually, and she blames it on the plane, but I don't know about that. There's a possibility that maybe she was just lying about that. And so a lot of this episode is just Keeley moping around. Unfortunately, I was a little bit happy that it kind of closed down because I haven't been finding any joy in Keeley's storyline this entire season, which to me really sucks because I love Keeley as a character. I think that she just works better with some of the other characters that we've seen. And Barbara, Shandy, and Jack really just aren't up to on they're not on par with the characters that we've known and grown with since season 1. But at the end of the episode, Rebecca decides to give Keeley some pity money so that she can build her business back up. And honestly, we haven't really seen Keeley do any work, to be honest with you. We haven't seen her do any work. She's been making out with her boss. She's been hiring pretty bad employees. Like, does she really need to run this business again? Maybe it failing was a good thing because I haven't really been seeing her do anything. It seems everything Keeley does kind of hurts the business more than helps. Um, and then there's also the case with Roy in this episode where we get a lot of character development from him. Roy finally decides that he can't let him, again, with the last episode, he can't let himself get in his own way. So he decides to go and try and make things up with Keeley. And their makeup turns into a makeout because they start going out again. And I said this earlier in a previous review, but I'm not that interested in them getting back together anymore because you got them together once and then you broke them up. And then we saw her with Jack. We can ask what was the point in that. And so I just don't understand why they keep thinking that we care all about Keely's relationships when she just breaks them off like really quick. I mean, she's been through how many people this entire series? Jamie, Roy, and Jack. Now she's been with a different person for every single season. I don't know. I'm just kind of tired of Keely's relationships. I kind of wish that she would just maybe stay single and just hang out with Rebecca, then have them just both talk because that's always fun. But nonetheless, they are together. I hope they stay together and they don't break up because I just don't want to deal with this again. But everything I've been talking about seems kind of negative, and I said I really like this episode because this is where the ending comes in. So now I want to talk about Nate's storyline. Nate's this has been a problem I've had a bit with the season is that I wanted Nate's character development to involve the Richmond and Ted Lasso team more. But I mean, really, his big problem is with his father, and so here's his plot line: he quits the West Ham team. He is just moping in his bed. He mopes in his bed all day. His girlfriend is like on vacation or something, so she's not around. And he decides one day to just get his violin, and he plays. Um, his dad comes in and like scares the heck out of Nate. I thought that was really funny. Nate's reaction to it. And so his dad says some nice things, says that Nate is a genius, which Nate seems to have rarely ever heard before. Again, it makes Nate feel good. Get some character development there. Um, Not much to say. This is really less of character development for Nate, really, and more for his dad of how to raise this genius son. But on to Rebecca's storyline. So Rebecca has been invited with a bunch of other club owners to make a super league headed by yours truly, Edwin, the guy who, uh, bribed Nigeria to keep Sam off the team. So the super league would have kind of just priced out all the people who really could barely afford to go to a game in the first place. And so Rebecca goes on this long speech about how Rupert was one of those people who couldn't afford to go to those games a long time ago. And during all of this, and I love this part. I thought it was great. While she's giving the speech, this is when Nate is playing the violin and it's going back and forth and back and forth. And I loved it. I thought the Nate's playing was just beautiful. And I think it was actually him playing, the actual actor playing that. I really liked it. And I thought the speech was actually pretty good because it showed the human, the human part of Rupert. And this is the best part, I think, because I was expecting all of these businessmen to say, "Yeah, but your story, we don't care. We want to make money." But no, they actually go along with Rebecca's story. They actually agree and they think it's wrong to price out all these people. And so Edwin just decides to throw all the food all over them because he's really angry. Rebecca and Rupert laugh. And then Rupert thinks that this is the best time to try and get a kiss from Rebecca. And Rebecca says no. And thank goodness she says no. Because that would have just been a horrible storyline to go down if they actually got back together. And I really love this because this is what these are my favorite parts from Ted Lasso is when they take moments that where you think you know what's going to happen, but they twist it and it's not they don't twist it to make it something negative, they twist it to make it something positive. Like I was really expecting these businessmen to actually just disregard everything Rebecca said and go along with making the super league because they just wanted the money. But no, they went along with Rebecca was saying. And I was also kind of expecting Rebecca to kiss Rupert back, and then we're gonna have this entire plot line about should I get back with Rupert, and Keely's gonna say no, you shouldn't. That's I really did not want to deal with that plot line. I'm so glad she said no. She realized at the time that that is not a good idea. Again, that ending I thought was just really good. I loved the ending. This is my favorite episode of the season, and it's really just for that ending. It's just mostly just the beautiful music, choreography, and the fact that they really twisted what I thought was actually going to happen. So, if I had to give this episode a grade from 0 to 100, I would give this episode an 85. Again, there were some parts which kind of frustrated me a little bit, but really that's kind of an overall season thing. like this episode is working with what the previous episodes have given it, and I think it did pretty well at that. So, without further ado, I thank you for watching, and goodbye.